Chapter 15, Evolution and Devolution. According to the dictionary, the ordinary definition of the word evolution is a process of progressive development that is governed by certain precise yet unknown laws. For the Epicurean swine or henchmen of materialistic dialectics, the concept of evolution, first of all, rejects the idea of an intelligent plan and a creator logos. The foolish fanatics of that farce written by Karl Marx, which is called materialistic dialectics, stupidly believe that evolution is an independent and mechanical process without God or the law. For the students of the different pseudo-esoteric and pseudo-occultist schools, the concept of evolution, first of all, includes the idea of an intelligent plan and a creator logos. Thus, the word evolution contains in itself a dogmatic significance. Precisely, this is its characteristic feature. The present materialistic scientific bases of evolution are, first, the nebular theories related with the origin of the universe, with all of their innumerable alterations, modifications, additions, restrictions, and so on. Indeed, all of these do not even minutely alter this original mistaken concept theory related with the mechanical constructive processes, and second, the capricious theory of Darwin related to the origin of the species with all its correlations and subsequent changes. There's a lot of comment about in regard to nebular conceptions. In this day and age, very ingenious theories about the origin of the universe have been invented. Nevertheless, all of them are just pure fantastic speculations without any corroboration. These are mere games of the mind, foolishness. The evolution and transformation of the species, in strictly Darwinian sense, or Darwinist sense, is based upon facts artificially selected. In order to prove such a theory, they rely on comparative anatomy, on morphology, on embryology, on paleontology, and so on. However, in each decade, they deny the facts from the previous decade and substitute old facts for new facts. Nevertheless, such a theory remains untouchable. Indeed, the appearance of new species, as a result of the law of evolution, is no more than a simple hypothesis, since it has never been verified. Nobody has ever witnessed the appearance of a new species. When creating the theory of evolution, modern thought, modern thought, forgot about the destructive, devolving processes of nature. The reason lies in the much too limited field of intellectual vision of these times. Due to this, pompous theories are elaborated upon. All of them are very beautiful, but all have an insufficient number of facts. Within these theories, none of the processes are certainly and entirely known. These theories only observe part of the process of evolution. Just part of it. Erudites state that this process consists of a type of evolving change. In this day and age, the human mind is already so degenerated that it has become incapable of even comprehending the inverse degenerative process on a greater scale. Present erudite minds are so trapped and bottled up within the dogma of evolution that their minds only know how to think of or function according to their own bottled up condition. This is why they attribute unto the other phenomena, that is, devolution and destruction, decadence and degeneration, the qualification of evolution, development, and progress. Stone Age people and cultures are neither from the beginning nor from the end of the world. These Stone Age people are only the declination and degeneration of very wealthy ancient civilizations. This is demonstrated by the remains of prehistoric cultures, also by the data of comparative philology, which shows the astonishing psychological wealth of archaic languages and the irrefutable ancient documents of art and literature. Not all of the isolated villages of this so boasted about modern civilization are savages. To reject this present civilized barbarism is not a sign of savagery. However, this does not mean that isolated villages in a state of complete savagery do not exist. The truly savage or semi-savage villages found by modern explorers are, without a doubt, degenerated descendants of extraordinarily cultured people who existed before the Stone Age. None of the truly primitive villages found by explorers have shown any sign of evolution. On the contrary, in all of the cases without exception, the unmistakable signs of degeneration and devolution have been observed. All of the savage or semi-savage villages have preserve legends and traditions from a golden age or from a heroic epoch. Indeed, these legends and traditions talk about their own past or their own ancient civilizations. This very fact demonstrates with meridian clarity the indisputable superiority of their Paleolithic drawings. In other words, the most ancient drawings found within the profound caves of the earth. These are related to the Neolithic drawings, meaning the most recent ones. The Gnostic brother C. Iturralde V. sent us an interesting letter from his country, Bolivia. He said, "Here there exists something very intriguing and peculiar in relation to a certain legend. This legend is not just fantastic, a fantastic tale made up by some minds. Instead, it is something that has an objective reality. In this village, there existed a certain Lilliputian tribe with human bodies that scarcely reach some 15 centimeters, and others that were 25 centimeters in stature. They lived in a kind of village or community which had houses along with utensils and pots and so on, and they were built by them. When I was a child, I had heard about such beings existing near the city where I lived, in Lopez exactly, which is a plateau surrounded by mountains, Los Andes, and an enormous surface facing the east. Now I know that close to Potosi, about some 120 kilometers away, there exists a village whose buildings are about 30 centimeters in height. Within the homes, utensils can be found which correspond to extremely small people. People say that this village is surrounded by very odd pointed hills, which extend 2 or 3 meters in height. Yet for this village, those hills appear to be mountains. The most elevated mountains, measuring many hundreds of meters in height, rise above it. It has been said that the indigenous of that area do not allow anybody to approach this oddity. This is a very devolving Lemurian race. This is a Lilliputian and Jinn race of Sumerian myths, authentic Nibelungs. Scientists of today are beginning to study indelible prints of these human ants that came from their Lilliputian galleries and that have ever been found on Rupstrian paintings. The so-called European primitive races of the Stone Age, such as the Cro-Magnon that lived in the caverns of the earth, were formerly very beautiful, but the degenerative descending cyclical impulse acted terribly on those races of Atlantean origin. Finally, the Paleolithic man left his position to his successor. Inside any evolving process, there exists a degenerative devolving process. The law of evolution and its twin sister, the law of devolution, work in a synchronized and harmonious way within all of creation. The laws of evolution and devolution constitute the mechanical axle of nature. We, the Gnostics, do not deny the law of evolution. This law exists. However, to assign mistaken and false factors and principles onto this law is wrong. The intimate self-realization of the human being is not the outcome of any mechanization. The law of evolution and the law of devolution are mechanical laws. The intimate self-realization of the human being is the outcome of tremendous self-cognitive super efforts made by oneself and within oneself here and now. To deny the law of evolution would be an absurdity. Nonetheless, to attribute to this law of factors that it does not have is stupidity. Evolution exists in any creative process. For instance, in the seed that dies so that the stalk must sprout, in the creature that is gestated within the maternal world, rather the maternal womb, and is born. Evolution exists within the plants that bloom. Yet, devolution exists in any destructive process. For example, the tree that withers and which eventually becomes a pile of wood. The plant that grows old and dies. Evolution exists in the elder who agonizes and finally inhales their last breath. Everything that exists in creation evolves until a certain point, perfectly defined by nature. Thereafter, it devolves until returning to the point of original departure. Therefore, no single living being can self-realize or attain liberation through the mechanical law of evolution.